Ben Simmons, a 6'10" versatile point guard from LSU, was the first overall draft pick in the 2016 draft class. Many had viewed him as the best player coming out of the draft and were excited to see him play for the Sixers in the 2016 season. Unfortunately for Ben, he suffered a foot injury in the off-season and was ruled out for the entire 2016 season. Fortunately for Simmons, he made a full recovery and was ready to play in 2017. Although Ben had a great season, this season was marked with a ton of controversy due to a loophole in the NBA rulebook. Although Ben Simmons wasn't in the most recent draft class, he was still considered a rookie, thus making him the winner of the Rookie of the Year award in 2017. This caused uproar within the community, with many thinking Donovan Mitchell deserved the award, as he was drafted in the 2017 season. Nonetheless, the decision to name Ben Simmons as the Rookie of the Year stood. Many Twitter users still make fun of the decision to this day, putting things like "Simmons robbed" or "Don't worry Simmons, you'll get it next year" under Rookie of the Year award winners' posts. But all this talk has me wondering, if Ben Simmons was a rookie every year, how many Rookie of the Year awards would he have? Before I answer this question, let's lay down the law and explain how this will work. Rule 1, we will use the rookie stats of Ben Simmons up until the year he won the award. Any year after that, which was in 2017, we will use Simmons' stats from that year to compare him to who really won the award. Rule 2, we will only be using the rookie stats to compare. For example, Pau Gasol won the award in 2001, which means we will only look at Gasol's stats from 2001. Rule 3, in the rare situation that there are two winners of the award, the player's stats will be averaged, then compared to Simmons. Rule 4, the first year I will look at is 1956, as this was the first year that there was an official Rookie of the Year award. Rule 5, if you disagree with any of my picks, then you need to look in the mirror, as I am never wrong.
Man, what a badass.
With all that being said, let's get into it. What is shown on the screen will be the layout for all of the video. On the left are Simmons' stats. Once again, this is his stats from the 2017 season. On the right is the player who won the Rookie of the Year. In this case, Monk Meineke was the first player to officially win Rookie of the Year. The bottom will be a running tally of how many Rookie of the Year awards Simmons would win. For those keeping count at home, there have been 71 Rookie of the Year awards given out in the history of the NBA. Using advanced technology, we will compare Simmons to the winner of each year's award and decided if he's worthy of taking over the throne as the Rookie of the Year. In this case, our algorithm shows that Ben Simmons steals the award from Monk Meineke.
Thank you, come again.
Here's the next example. Ray Felix, former second overall draft pick for the Baltimore Bullets, came into the league hot, averaging 18 points and 13 rebounds. To the untrained eye, this may seem like an easy decision to give the award to Felix. However, my third eye saw the team record and decided to give it to Simmons. Next, Bob Pettit. Like Felix, he was a second overall pick, but he was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks. He averaged 20 points and 14 rebounds per game and took over the league at the age of 22. He would end up being an all-star in every year he would play and would end his career with 2 MVPs and 1 ring. Yeah, this one stays with Bob. Maurice Stokes was also a second overall pick and he went to the Rochester Royals. I'm starting to think these voters have a fetish for second overall picks. He would end up averaging almost as many rebounds as he did points. He was the Worm Man before the Worm Man was born. Tom Heinsohn was the 6th overall pick in the 1956 draft class and was thrown on an already stacked Celtics team with Bill Russell and Bob Cousy. Although this team would go on to win the finals in the year he was drafted, I think the stats of Simmons are just better than Tom's. Maybe he would have won if he averaged a double-double. Woody Salisbury was drafted as the 60th overall pick by the Philadelphia Warriors. In the 8th round, he averaged a double-double, which was cool, but averaged less than 1 assist per game. Elgin Baylor was drafted as the 91st pick by the Minneapolis Lakers. He came into the league averaging 25 points per game and 15 rebounds per game. Although Baylor is an absolute badass, he unfortunately never won an NBA championship and had to retire early due to knee problems. Nonetheless, Baylor keeps his trophy with ease. Next, we have Wilt the freaking Stilt.
Holy
Wilt came into the league and immediately made it his bitch, averaging 38 points per game and 27 rebounds per game.
Holy
Now, this is epic.
Wilt keeps it. 1960 brought us the big O. He almost averaged a triple-double in his rookie year. Certified badass. Walt Bellamy came into the league and averaged 32 points and 19 rebounds per game. This is the second highest points per game by any rookie in NBA history. Fun fact about Walt is he holds the record for most games played in a regular season with a total of 88. Wow. Terry Dischinger is next. He averaged 26 points per game as a rookie while also getting his chemical engineering degree. After his NBA career, he completed dental school in Memphis. Just like me, he looked the grind in its face and said, "Hit me with your best shot." Certified badass. Next is Jerry Lucas. He was drafted by the Cincinnati Royals, which was the team that Oscar Robertson was on. Lucas was the perfect Batman to the Big O, as he could rebound the hell out of the ball and help Oscar get assists. Lucas would later be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Willis Reed came into the league and showed physical force the league had never seen before. The crowd in New York absolutely loved him. In Game 7 of the NBA Finals in 1970, Reed helped the Knicks win the championship by playing the game with a torn muscle in his thigh. Reed keeps the award. Rick Barry was drafted by the San Francisco Warriors in 1965 and helped them double their wins from the previous season, averaging a double-double with 26 points per game. Barry would eventually return to the Warriors after they rebranded to the Golden State Warriors. He would then drag the Warriors to winning the championship in 1975. Dub Nation, stand the fuck up. Dave Bing was drafted by the Detroit Pistons to be the running mate for Dave DeBusschere. Although Bing is an NBA legend, he offered very little in the size, rebounding, or efficiency department. This one goes to Simmons. Earl the Pearl was drafted by the trash-ass Baltimore Bullets in 1967. Earl did everything he could, but there clearly wasn't enough talent on his team to compete. Although Earl keeps his award, he needed a running mate in order for the Bullets to be a good team. Wes Unseld was drafted by the Baltimore Bullets and was the perfect pairing for Earl the Pearl. Wes would average 14 points and 18 rebounds per game and drastically improve the Bullets' record. He was so good, in fact, that he won the MVP in his rookie year.
Holy shit.
He and Wilt Chamberlain are the only two players in the NBA history to do so. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was one of the first players to receive hype before entering the NBA. Kareem, who stood at 7 feet 2 inches tall, had an extremely successful career at UCLA before entering the league. He was the consensus #1 pick by the Bucks and his hype did not disappoint. As a rookie, he averaged 29 points and 15 rebounds per game, as well as leading the Bucks to 56 wins in only their second year of existence. He is a top 5 player of all time and will keep his award. In 1970 we have our first tie. Jeff Petrie and Dave Cowens tied for the award, and as discussed earlier, their stats are averaged out. These stats still seem to be better than Ben's. Sidney Wicks was the second overall pick in 1971. He would have been the first pick, but the Cavs accepted $250,000 from the Trail Blazers. Although this was a little sketchy, the Blazers were right to pay the Cavs, as Wicks was awesome in his rookie season, averaging 25 points and 12 rebounds per game. Bob McAdoo is the first player to get his award snatched by Ben Simmons in a few years. Although his stats were on the same level of Simmons, the team record gives Ben the edge. McAdoo had an all-time great quote after his rookie season, saying his wife couldn't have outrun his teammates. Ernie D would team up with Bob McAdoo in the next year. He would be the main playmaker, which helped Bob win the scoring title. Ben gets the edge due to his rebounding numbers. Jamal Wilkes was a part of one of the weakest draft classes in NBA history in 1974. Although he will be losing his award to Simmons, Wilkes had a lot of success in his career, winning 4 championships and being a part of the Basketball Hall of Fame. Alvin Adams was drafted 4th overall to the Phoenix Suns. With help from Adams, the Suns went on an improbable run in the playoffs, making the NBA Finals. Although this one is a little close, Adams holds on to his award. This next one is one of the closest races yet. Adrian Dantley was drafted by the Buffalo Braves. Dantley did average 20 points and 8 rebounds per game, but I gave the edge to Simmons. The Braves had an absolute nightmare of a season, with there being 2 head coaching changes throughout. If Dantley was that good, he wouldn't have gotten 2 head coaches fired. Walter Davis was drafted by the Suns as the 5th overall pick, and was a certified bucket getter immediately, averaging 24 points per game while shooting 53% from the field. Phil Ford was drafted by the Kansas City Kings in 1978. He had one of the best games ever by a rookie on February 21st, 1979 against the Bucks, scoring 26 points, dishing out 22 dimes, grabbing 5 boards, and stealing 5 balls. Sadly, this great performance didn't drown out the mid-rookie year. Up next, Larry Legend. Everyone knows the deal with Larry. He is an all-time great, one of the best shooters and trash talkers in NBA history, blah blah blah. The real thing I want to talk about is it appears we have an imposter among us. What? Larry Bird was the 6th overall pick in the 1978 draft, but won the award in the 1979 NBA season. Larry took a gap year because he wanted to finish out his final season at Indiana State. Nonetheless, Larry keeps his award. Darrell Griffith was the 2nd overall pick in the 1980 draft by the Utah Jazz. Although he got buckets immediately, he didn't do much else and his team was absolute trash. This one goes to Ben. Buck Williams was drafted by the New Jersey Nets and was the missing piece of the puzzle for them. After only winning 24 games in the previous season, Buck helped the Nets make the playoffs, although they would be swept in the first round. Although the star of the 1982 class was James Worthy, Terry Cummings had one of the best rookie seasons ever that year. After getting drafted to the San Diego Clippers 2nd overall, Cummings would ask to be traded out of San Diego after feuding with the owner Donald Sterling. The sides would eventually settle their difference and Cummings put the league on notice. Unfortunately, with 2 weeks left in his rookie year, Cummings was diagnosed with a heart condition and was forced to sit out of the rest of the season. The Clippers wouldn't win a game in that stretch. Next we have Ralph Sampson. He was extremely hyped coming out of school and was featured on Sports Illustrated. His rookie year didn't disappoint, as he averaged 21 points and 11 rebounds. Next, Michael Jorfraud. He was placed in the perfect situation in Chicago so he could stat pad his way to the Rookie of the Year award. Luckily for Jordan, this isn't an Owner of the Year video because he would have 0 of those.
Man, you corny!
Unsurprisingly, the Bulls would lose in the first round during Jordan's rookie year, as Scottie wasn't there to carry him. Patrick Ewing came into the NBA having one of the most successful careers in college basketball history. Unsurprisingly, he was projected to go number 1 overall, but there was a ton of controversy around the draft lottery, with many accusing David Stern of rigging the lottery so Ewing would go to the biggest market in sports. Nonetheless, his rookie year in New York was a little bit underwhelming, but I am gonna have Ewing keep the trophy due to his scoring production. Chuck Person for Auburn was the 4th overall pick in the very weak 1986 draft class. He is the first person on this list who truly specialized in three-point shooting, shooting 36% from beyond the arc his rookie year. Despite this, Ben will take the trophy due to having an all-around better game. The man responsible for the Warriors dynasty won the award in 1987. Mark Jackson was drafted by the Knicks, who still had Patrick Ewing at the time. He was a dynamic floor general, but his 14 points per game just won't cut it. Simmons takes this one. Mitch Richmond was the perfect piece for the fast-paced offense ran by Don Nelson. He was a high-motor bucket getter who could absolutely dunk on anyone.
Holy
What a badass.
shit.
Next is David Robinson.
Somebody order a badass?
Not only did he have one of the greatest rookie years ever, he also had some of the most juicy biceps in NBA history.
Holy shit.
He took the Spurs from a 21-win team to a 56-win team. This was the greatest turnaround from one season to another by any team in NBA history. He did this by averaging 24 points per game and 12 boards per game. Not only was he an absolute baller, but he looked good while doing it. We have another close one here with Derek Coleman. He was the first overall pick by the Nets, and even though he was averaging a double-double, the playmaking ability of Simmons gives him the edge. Grandmama Larry Johnson is next. He had a very similar rookie year to Derek Coleman's. Larry's was just a little bit better. Next, we got the Big Diesel. Due to his size, weighing in at 325 pounds, Shaq came into the league as the most hyped prospect since Patrick Ewing, and he did not disappoint. He scored 23 points and grabbed 14 rebounds per game, and if it weren't for stupid-ass Nick Anderson, he would have won a chip in Orlando. Shaq keeps his trophy. Webber was drafted by the Magic to team up with Shaq, but was immediately traded to Golden State in exchange for Penny Hardaway. Webber was placed on an already pretty good Warriors team and helped them reach the playoffs. Although Webber was playing out of position his rookie season, the playmaking stats of Simmons give him the edge. In 1994 we had a tie between Jason Kidd and Grant Hill. Clearly, Simmons defeats the two-headed monster and gets the victory in this one. Next we have a man who represented all short kings across the nation in Damon Stoudemire. Standing in at 5'10", Stoudemire didn't give a shit what the haters said and went out and won the Rookie of the Year award. As the shortest man to ever win the trophy, Stoudemire is truly an inspiration to all short kings across the globe. That being said, and I really hate to do this, but I have to give the award to Simmons. The size of Stoudemire just made him too much of a liability on defense. Next we got the answer, Allen Iverson. He immediately asserted himself as a badass dribble god, scoring 30 points in his first game in the NBA. Not only that, but he showed Jordan who is boss, absolutely snatching his ankles. Many people can relate to Iverson for a multitude of different reasons, but I can relate to him because we are both AI. Next we have David Robinson's partner in crime, Tim Duncan. Just like Robinson, Timmy was a very sought-after prospect and the Spurs had the luxury of choosing him. He was not only picked as the Rookie of the Year winner for that year, but he was also selected to the all-defensive team as well. Tim Duncan had one of the greatest careers in NBA history, and would have had a better one had the GOAT not gotten in his way. Vince Carter was the winner in 1998. His rookie season was shortened due to the lockout. He was an immediate fan favorite in Canada and earned the name Air Canada, for obvious reasons.
Holy shit.
Even though he was absolutely electric, the stats from Simmons are better. We had another tie in the year 2000. Elton Brand and Steve Francis tied. Francis made enemies before the season started, publicly declaring he didn't want to play for the Vancouver Grizzlies after getting drafted to them. He would get traded before the season started to the Rockets. This is where Steve Francis turned into the franchise with his high-flying ability. He packed the stands in Houston with everyone wanting to get a look at his extreme talent. And Elton Brand is Elton Brand.
Nope.
Mike Miller was the winner in 2000. He only averaged 12 points per game in his rookie year. Of all the people on the list, he may have had the worst rookie season. Later in his career, he became an absolute sharpshooting god thanks to the GOAT giving him the best passes of his career. 2001 brought us Pau Gasol. He had a very successful career playing in Barcelona, and transferred it to the NBA, averaging 18 points and 9 rebounds per game. However, I am still going to take Ben Simmons due to the assists and team record. Next, Amar'e Stoudemire. Fun fact about him is he went straight from high school to the pros, skipping out on college. I bet Jordan could never do that. He was drafted by the Phoenix Suns and had a good rookie year, averaging 14 points and 9 boards. He won the award in a close race. Once again though, the playmaking ability of Ben Simmons is extremely valuable and gives him the edge. Next, we have him, the GOAT, LeBron James.
Holy shit. You got a badass over here.
After becoming the greatest prospect in the history of sports, LeBron's game transitioned perfectly into the NBA. As a 19-year-old, he averaged 21 points per game while carrying the sorry-ass Cavs to 35 wins. He would go on to become the most talented basketball player to ever walk the earth. Emeka Okafor was the first ever draft pick for the expansion Charlotte Bobcats. He did have a great rookie season averaging a double-double, but Ben Simmons' numbers beat him out on everything besides rebounds. Chris Paul was the 4th pick in 2005 by the New Orleans Hornets. Fun fact about Chris Paul was he led all rookies in points, assists, and steals in his rookie year. His addition allowed the Hornets to win 38 games in his rookie year, a huge improvement from the 18 wins the team got last year. This one is very close, but with the last couple close ones going to Simmons, this one will stay with Paul. Brandon Roy was the award winner in 2006. He was the 6th overall pick and was a certified bucket getter. Just like most of his career, he suffered with injuries throughout his rookie season. Due to him only playing 57 games, this one will go to Ben Simmons. 2007 was Kevin Durant. Infamously, Durant fell to the 2nd pick in the draft to the Portland Trail Blazers, drafting Greg Oden. Oden would become one of the biggest busts in NBA history, while Durant became one of the greatest scorers ever. Though his team had a lack of success, this was not because of KD. He averaged 20 points per game and was a lethal shooter immediately. Later in his career, KD became the Snake, joining the Warriors super team. I will forever hate him because he cost LeBron multiple rings. D. Rose was the award winner in 2008. Many consider Derrick Rose to have had the greatest rookie year of any Bulls player in NBA history. And to be honest, I agree with those people. Derrick Rose helped the Bulls reach the playoffs, when they would eventually lose to the Celtics. Although Rose had a great rookie year, I think Derrick Rose had a better one. Tyreke Evans had one of the most underrated rookie seasons of all time. He was drafted to the Sacramento Kings, and although they didn't have much team success, Tyreke was amazing for them and the season was filled with a ton of highlights. He would end up averaging 20 points during his rookie year. Next up is Blake Griffin. Once again, we have an imposter among us. Blake was the first overall pick in the 2009 draft, but had a stress fracture in his left knee which required him to miss the entire 2009 season. He came back in 2010 with a vengeance, averaging 23 points and 12 boards per game. At one point, he had a streak of 27 consecutive games with a double-double. He also jumped over a car at some point in there. What a freaking badass. Next up is Kyrie Irving. He was the #1 draft pick for the Cavs this year and is an absolute dribble god. When he was teamed up with LeBron, he was the unanimous best point guard in the league. However, this is a rookie video and Simmons had a better rookie year than Kyrie. Next up is Damian Lillard. Surprisingly enough, he was a unanimous winner of this award in 2012. However, I think Simmons had a better season. This is a very close call, but the defense of Simmons has to give him an edge over Dame. The next close one will go in the way of the winner of the award. Next is Michael Carter-Williams. He was a later pick, drafted 11th overall by the Sixers. He made a huge splash immediately, scoring 22 points, grabbing 7 rebounds, dishing 12 dimes, and grabbing 9 steals in a shocking upset of the Miami Heat in his NBA debut. During his rookie year, he would also record 2 triple-doubles. Many proclaimed he was the second coming of Jason Kidd. As we all know, he didn't pan out and I think that Simmons also steals his trophy. Next up is Andrew Wiggins. He was an extremely hyped prospect coming out of school. So hyped, in fact, that he was called Maple Jordan. Maple if he wasn't so trash the Cavs wouldn't have traded his sorry ass for Kevin Love. In Minnesota he had a pretty decent rookie year, but it was nothing to tell your grandkids about. Next up is KAT. Since the Timberwolves were so trash with Andrew Wiggins, they secured the first pick of the draft and got Karl Anthony Towns. KAT was an absolutely badass, bullying people and shooting three-pointers over them. Even though the team was trash, KAT was not. In the year Ben Simmons was drafted, Malcolm Brogdon won the award. He is tied with David Robinson as being the oldest player to win the award at the age of 24.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
I love the young people.
Although Brogdon had a nice rookie season, his old ass stands no match with the rookie year of Simmons. In 2017 this was the year Simmons won, so he gets a +1. From here on out, we will be using the stats from the season Ben played in 2018, brought us Luka. As you can see, the stats of Simmons have also changed. In an infamous draft day trade, the Hawks traded Luka for little-ass Trae Young in exchange for picks. Luka would then have one of the greatest rookie years in a while, averaging 21 points and 8 rebounds per game. Although the stats of Simmons improved, Luka had a better season. Next up is Ja Morant. Ja was the second overall pick in his draft, but he really stood no chance against Simmons. Not only did he make an all-defensive team, he also made the All-NBA team this year, which meant he was a top 15 player in the league. This one goes to Ben. In Simmons' last year in Philly, his opponent is LaMelo Ball. LaMelo was a part of the COVID draft class and made the most of what he was given. Unfortunately for Ball, Simmons once again made the All-Star game and was an all-defensive player. In 2021, Simmons didn't play a single game. He was pouting in Philly and requested a trade. He was eventually traded to Brooklyn, but while there he didn't play a game. Scotty Barnes keeps his trophy. And last but not least, 2022. Simmons had one of the most disappointing seasons by anyone this year. Some said he would be the perfect pair next to Kyrie and KD. He eventually became unplayable and only averaged 7 points per game. Not only this, but in some games he didn't even get a minute of action. Banchero, on the other hand, showed some real promise in his rookie year and the future is bright for him. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit the shit out of that subscribe button. Who knows, maybe I'll make this same video next year with Chet the Holmgren.